thought you were cleaning the oven.
But, George, I am.
Mabel? What do you mean?
My new gas range, dear. It has a self-cleaning oven. You just turn this little dial, George. It does the job faster, and it costs you less.
It's gas. It's fast. It costs you less to clean.
The gas self-cleaning oven. For people who like to cook. Period.
Gas for people who like to cook. Period.
Now I can have great gas cooking and a self-cleaning oven, too.
And a self-cleaning oven, too.
Only gas has infrared broiling, the burner with a brain.
And a self-cleaning oven, too.
It's gas. It's fast. Your oven isn't tied up all afternoon, and neither are you. For people who like to cook.
Period.
Mabel must be cleaning the oven again.
The gas self-cleaning oven for people who like to cook, period.
This is a woman who makes me laugh, and she brings me so much joy, and so much joy to so many with her comedy. She's an empath who heals with her comedy. She's a writer, a comedian, an entertainer, Roberta Kent. Roberta!
Great introduction. Great introduction. I had no idea I did all that. I can go back to bed now.
Oh my God, no.
That's good news.
This is nice. Thank you for spending the time.
Hey, listen, anything for you, David. I put a bra on, got earrings in, didn't think the pierce was going to even work. It's been so long, but I got poked in there and put lipstick on, put a little product in the hair. So this is exciting. Got out of the pajamas. This is a very busy day for me. You know?
Well, I didn't put the earrings on, but I did put a bra on.
Well, this is the one thing I could do that I didn't have to put the gloves on and the mask. So that's good. Yeah.
That is good, huh?
Yeah, going into surgery when you put the gloves and the mask.
I know. That's sort of a stressful thing to think about. That every time you put on the mask, it feels like you're going for the doctor.
The one thing my mother wanted me to become, you know, but little does she know I'm only on my way to Smart and Final, so it's no big deal, you know. Maybe swing by Kentucky Colonel, one or the other. A little swing by there.
So when did you get your start, or how did you get your start in show business?
Oh my God! Well, first of all, it goes all the way back. I was the class cut up, you know, and wanted to be Carol Burnett. I really wanted to be Carol Burnett. Wrote a fan letter to her, and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm graduating high school. And she wrote, it was a little postcard. And I was able to later on do something with her, you know, that I worked on a game show and showed her the card and everything like that. And it said, go to college. And that, you know, that's what she did and everything. And I ended up going to the Pasadena Playhouse when it was accredited college.
Right.
And that's where I met so many people that made a big influence on my life, you know, and also studied at Desilu Studios when Lucille Ball had it. I'm old vintage here. I'm somebody that when they said, and someday you're going to do stand-up comedy, and I said, you're out of your mind. There's no way I'll stand up there all by myself, you know. And one thing led to another by doing audience warm-ups. And there's such a history, David. It's really the game shows, I'd have to say. The original Hollywood Squares.
Right.
I got a job as one of the writers on that show.
Well, was that one of your first jobs?
I don't think it was one of the first jobs because I was doing a show that said Explosion 69, and it was supposed to go to Vegas, and you know, they were looking for day shows at that time. And I teamed up with this guy, and I did these characters, and I was Baby June and a lady warden, and he was the straight man, and the history's unbelievable. And we did that, and it didn't go to Vegas, but somebody there saw me and put me in commercials and said, you want to be in commercials? And I never even thought about that. That's the one thing about this business. You have no idea where it's going.
Yeah.
you know, and I said, yeah, okay, you know, that'd be fun. And I said, I don't really have any pictures or anything. And I went to Mary Webb Davis, which was a big commercial agency in that time,
Yeah.
at that time in the 70s. And went on a commercial interview, and you have the video. That's one of them.
Was that your first commercial?
That's the first commercial I went out on.
Oh my God.
That gas company commercial got me my SAG card. We shot for a week, made $10,000. It was a 30-second, a 60-second, and a 90-second. And the one that you see, and it's on my website, is that's 90 seconds long, and it was shot in black and white.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they had the way it was something. It changed everything. And I did two more, but we can't seem to find them. One for Arrow Shirts, where I was a meter maid, and one for Kraft Diet Parquet Margarine, where I was exercising and I fell on the floor and everything like that.
Did it come from that one? Because that one was just tremendous.
Oh, yeah. Those are the days when you could go out and they'd say, we're looking for this type or something like that. And you just showed up. When I showed up for that gas company, I went for that. It's a great story. And I mean, I don't know how long we're going to have here, but it's a great story. When I went out for it, the agent said, I'm going to send you on this. Everybody in town's going out for this because it's a big one. It's national and everything like that. And so I go there and nobody was there. And I walk in and the guy's name was Vic Habush. You know, I can't tell you what I ate last week, but this guy, and he was sitting there, and it was his agency. And I came in, he said, can I help you? And I said, I've been sent here to try out for a commercial. And they said, that was yesterday. And I said to him, I said, I got to tell you something, you're missing out. And I grabbed my tits and I went, I'm a lot of fun. I'm a lot of fun. I says, I'm telling you right now, I says, I'll give you a lot of gas stuff. And he just fell in love with me. And he said, I tell you what, you come tomorrow, we're having callbacks.
Yeah.
And I'll call your agent and tell you. And I came the next day and I walked in there. Everybody I have ever known, everybody that was in commercials. And they teamed you up with a man and everything. And you know, I ended up doing the commercial with Marvin Kaplan, who is, forget it, he's hysterical. You know, gee, I wish I was one of the ones, you know. And he always talked like that. But I didn't go in with him. And they had a whole storyboard, and they said, you need to come down, and you're going to, you know, these guys are going to lift you up. And I says, well, these fruitcakes better be strong because they're going to go right to the ground. And it was one of those things, no matter what I said, they laughed. And they said, can you sing opera? And I go, it was like Barbara Streisand in Funny Girl, can I roller skate? Of course. And I said, yes. And they said, okay, just sing For People Who Like to Cook, period. And no matter what it was. And I felt good about it. And I wasn't with Marvin.
Yeah.
And I came home and they called me that next morning and the agent said, your life is going to change. And I said, you're kidding. And they said, no, it's absolutely. I got into Screen Actors Guild and they shot for the week, I said, and it was unbelievable. And from that moment on, then I started writing for Hollywood Squares and doing different things. And it wasn't just the commercials. And then I actually helped Richard Simmons open his restaurant.
Oh.
The Roughage, when he had the Roughage. That was the first salad bar.
Oh.
He was at a place called Derek's, I think, which was on Sunset Boulevard. He was the waiter there.
Right.
He was like the head waiter. And he started to open up his own. And I was good friends with Sally Struthers from the Pasadena Playhouse. Yeah. And Sally and I went in there and he was all over Sally. And then he came over to me and he put the dessert on me and I put it back on him. And we hit it off and he said, come run a restaurant with me. And I helped him with this salad bar. And everybody in town came there. Every celebrity, Spelling, and the other one,
Right.
Goldberg and Spelling, all the women came there. Cher came there. Now they did exercise in the back, but not with Richard. It was done with what they do now. I can't think of what the word is, but that's what's happened to me in my life.
That's an idea. You sit, eat, and you're sitting on a bike. So you exercise.
Well, no, it wasn't the bike. It's the box. It was that box that they all do now. That everybody that whatever it's called. And Richard wasn't teaching it. Chinese guy was teaching it. And
Right.
Ron Fletcher invented it. I just can't think of it right now. And everybody came there, literally Natalie Wood, Cher, all the big stars came there and they exercised. And then they would eat, you know, and they would sit there. And as a result of that, there was a show called The Loman and Barkley Show that used to have radio, and they got a TV show. And I was feeding these two girls, Rhonda Young, who became a big casting agent,
Right.
and a couple others, and they all thought I was funny. And when they got the Loman and Barkley Show, they said, you should come here and be one of the writers. And I came there and I was one of the writers on the show. Yeah. And we did it back in San Diego. And the comics, all the comics at that time, we're talking like 1978, 76, 78. And all the comics would do the audience for us, but then they'd run out of material. And one of the times I grabbed the microphone, I said, y'all having fun? And they said, yeah. And I go, you're full of shit. You've been sitting here for hours. You haven't eaten. You haven't done anything. And it's all started like that. And Gary Shandling, who really was my mentor, came over and he said to me, you're very funny. And he said, you should do stand-up. And I said, Gary, stand-up is 15 minutes of boom, boom, boom. I said, I'm kibitzing. Did you go to Disneyland? Did you go to the farmer's market? You know, I was a kibitzer, you know. He said, but you say funny stuff. He says, write it down. And that's really how it all happened. And then I was in skits on the show, and I ended up going over to the Comedy Store. Gary took me, and we did 5 minutes. And Mitzi Shore said, you're funny. You should come back again. You know, don't say fuck, but come back again. You know, you have to do Mitzi. That's what you have to do is Mitzi. Yeah. And that's really how it started. And I kept going. And then the strike started. That was a big thing in 1980. The comedians were not getting paid. Yeah. And Tom Dreesen and Jay Leno and Elaine Boozler and those people that were hot then, very hot then, started a strike that we should get paid. And I was one of the mice I was one of the rats really following the headliners. And we'd be out there picketing on Channel 4 and all the stations and everything like that. And I had a big sign that said appearing nightly in the line, in the picket line. And that's how it started really. And then a friend of mine named Paul Brownstein was working with Barry Manilow. Mm-hmm. And he would call me from the road, and he was his road manager, and he would call me and he'd say, we're in bumfuck Maryland. He's getting an award. He's getting the Man of the Year or something like that. He says, can you think of something funny? Yeah. Or the key to the city, actually, not Man of the Year. Man of the Year. Delete that, not Man of the Year. The key to the city. And I would give him funny lines. And then one of the times Barry got on the phone and he says, listen, I look forward to meeting you. And I was all excited. I was home alone. And I go, but Barry Manilow's on the phone. And the rest went to a party at his house when he came back. And he has a book that's called Sweet Life. And there's a whole chapter on me in that book about how I met him and what went on and how I brought the fans into his life, because he wasn't crazy about fans. Right. Yeah, I said to him, these are the people that have made you. And there's a wonderful, I think you can get the book for $1 on Amazon. The shipping's $20, but I think you can get, oh no, you get free shipping. Right. But there's a whole chapter on me on that.
Well, I have to check that out.
And I was with him for 13 and a half years, you know, but not only did I end up opening for him, at first I wasn't, I just wrote for him. Yeah. You know, and we hit it off and everything. When I went to his house that night for the party, we talked a little bit, and as we left, Bruce Valanche was there, and Dionne Warwick was there because they were working on an album. That was, and then some other writers, you know, songwriters and stuff. And as we left, Barry, and it's in the book, Barry said to me, he said, I hope I'll see you again. And I says, really? And he said, yeah. And I went in my purse and I said, well, then I won't be needing this ashtray. And I took it out and I went, I thought I wasn't going to be coming back again, you know. And he loved it. He loved it. And the next time I met him was maybe a week later in Beverly Hills. We went out to lunch, Paul Brownstein, him and myself, and we hit it off. And he said, you think you can come and write with me? And I said, I don't know, you know, I'll try, you know. And so we went into the parking garage, and he paid for my parking and everything like that. And his car came first. And as it came out, I hit it with my hand and I went, get an attorney, Barry Manilow just hit me. Get an attorney. And that's in the book. He remembered all that. God. So it was a great twosome. It was like Bruce Bruce and Brett Midler, you know, I mean, we hit it. He just, when we wrote and wrote and wrote, and we tried it out in New York at a little club, I think at the Upstairs Downstairs or something like that.
Right.
It was like, it was cold and everything, and it was like $5 or $10 a ticket, and the line was wrapped up. And he, before he walked out, he says, listen, I may not do anything we talked about. At that time, I was just writing his clever patter and everything.
Right.
And I says, well, I says, we're both Jewish, and you've paid me a lot of money. I says, I think you ought to try some of it. And the rest is history. The rest is history.
Wow.
He tried it, and he trusted me when, if he said, I thought we'd get a laugh there. And I said to him, oh, what? I don't get calls all week long. I don't get calls all week long.
Call from.
Wait a minute. Can't talk now. I'm on a Zoom call. Can't talk.
Call from.
And my phone tells me who's calling too. My phone tells me who's calling. But
No, here's a question. How, when did,
oh, wait a minute. Oh, God. Wait a minute.
It's been a while to realize what date it is, but the good part is.
Fred, hang up. I'm on a call. I'm on a Zoom thing.
hi, Fred.
Hi, Fred. Okay. Go ahead.
And when did it shift to when you were just writing for him to when you wrote for him and opened for him?
What happened is he had a lot of opening acts. He had Billy Crystal. He had what's his name, who's passed away? You know,
Robin?
No, not Robin. No, not Robin. Robin, not for Barry. But you know, some of the bunch of different companies. He never gave them. It always just said Barry Manilow. He never gave them really credit.
Yeah.
And what happened was he said to me, "Do you know any good ones?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "There's a guy, Jay Leno's very good, and also Steve Bluestein is very good."
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "He's terrific." Well, they ended up using Steve, and Steve was always very much indebted to me for that. He had a great week and everything like that. And then as I'm realizing, I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the fans, they're a bunch of fat little girls that are now grandmothers. And I'm thinking, I could do that. I can bring my act. I had already started to do I was doing stand-up at that time, by the way. Barry came and saw me at a place at the Blah Blah Cafe. I don't know if you were around.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
That's where, yeah, what's his name made it so famous? Carl, what's his name, a singer. And that was, lots of people were there. And I brought comedy to that place during the strike. I brought Robin, I brought everybody there. I said, come on Monday nights. And then I said, because I love talent, you know that, David. I should have probably been a manager. I love putting people together. And I started putting a show on there on Monday nights. And then I said, why don't we open for the different singers that come here?
Right.
So I opened for like Dee Archer and Melissa, different people, different singers and stuff like that. Two girls named Melissa and Marcia that I opened for, and they had followings. And I started to build a following. Well, I'm born and raised here, you know. So when I still with the reunions, I'm the Don Rickles at all of our reunions, you know. So and everybody started coming, and we would get 50 cents a person, you know. But we would do two turnovers, two shows, two turnovers.
Right.
So we could make $100 in the night or something like that, you know, which was pretty good at that time. Yeah. So that's how the stand-up started. So Barry came and saw me. And loved Dee Archer and everything like that. And then I had thought to him, I said, you know, I think I could open for you. And then he was so supportive. He said, you know, they'll do a 15-minute break, and then I'll come back and I'll sit in the back of the house and take notes again, because that's what I did every day. He's a wonderful performer. I mean, he tapes everything he does, you know, and we recorded everything he did, and then the next day we'd go over it. You know, we'd watch it, go over it, and he'd say, you know, he'd say, I should have gotten a laugh there. And I said, that's because you walked on the line. You know, I says, now tomorrow. And I would yell out as he was going out for the next place, like, hello, St. Louis or whatever. And I go, don't walk when you do that one line, you know. And that would be the last thing I'd say to him or something, or hello, Missouri. I'd tell him where we were too. And sure enough, he'd get the laugh, and the trust started to come. I mean, I know comedy, you know. Yeah. And as the years went on, I became the creative consultant with everything, the song lineup, the lighting, the everything, absolutely everything. And when we went to England, he's bigger, you know, in the UK. We went on the Concorde. It's thrilling.
It's amazing. I want to throw out another name to you.
Okay.
Whatever comes to your mind. Elvis.
Well, that's a story. That's a great story. I've always been in love with Elvis, always. And I had a fan club and everything when we were 13 years old, and we would call when he was making Love Me Tender. And long story short, we would call every week, and all of a sudden one week we got through. And they said, come tomorrow. We said, we have a teddy bear, because that was the big song then. And I have a picture at one point. If you put it, can you put it on pause and I'll go get the picture?
Yeah. Go get the picture.
It's on the wall. It's on the wall here. What the hell is my foot stuck on? Let me get it.
I love this.
I didn't know you were going to bring up Elvis.
Oh, well, it's show and tell time.
It's show and tell time. Okay. Here's the picture.
Oh, up a little and back. Up and back. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Now I'm right next to him with the white blouse, and it's me, the teddy bear, and Elvis. The teddy bear, next to the teddy bear.
Oh, you're next to the teddy bear?
Yeah. Can you get it now?
Look at there. There's Elvis.
Elvis.
Yeah. There's a teddy bear.
Teddy bear, and there's me with the short hair and the little dickie. I think I had a dickie on there or something.
I love that.
Yeah, and that was in the papers. That was in everything. It's also in a book too. There's a book too that it's in. And that was our little fan club. And I just always had a thing for him. And so when I was in high school, everybody was talking about, oh, they're going up to Elvis' house, all these starlets and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I got this star map, and I ended up, we were going to the wrong house. And this person said, one of the times I was in Bel Air, and the person I was with said, oh, I'll show you where Elvis lives. I'll show you. And they showed me. And the next day I got two of my best friends that look nothing alike.
Yeah.
If you were to put salt and pepper, this bottle, and the mouse next to each other, that's how much we looked alike. Okay.
Yeah.
So we get in there, and there's all these gorgeous girls who are standing around in the driveway. Those are the days that there was no gate, really. You could just drive right up.
Yeah.
And it's on Bellagio in Bel Air. And we went up there, and it's a great story. And they always would say, come back later, come back later. So one of the girls who was with me, Judy, was really darling. And so she goes and she knocks on the door, and she says, I have to go to the bathroom, you know. And so they let her in. And so naturally, we don't see her for a while. We're ready to kill her. You know, she's in there. So she comes out. She had met his cousin. And so nothing really went on. So the next day we come back, and we go to the door, and the three of us are standing there. Like I said, we don't look alike. And a big guy named Chief comes to the door, one of his guys, and he says, oh, you girls must be the three sisters. And I went, yes. I'm smacking him. I go, yes, we are. And they let us in. I get all blotched up. I'm so excited. Yeah. We go downstairs in this house, and the music is playing. I'll never forget it. It was Ramblin' Rose by Nat King Cole on the jukebox. The television was on, no sound. They were shooting pool. Elvis was sitting on the couch, gorgeous, next to a girl named Sharon Eugenie. Like I said, I can't remember what I ate last week, but this girl, that was an actress. That was the first and only time he got up and he left. And I'm dying. You know, I'm watching him walk by and everything like that. And as the time went on, Chief, we were sitting there, and my sense of humor came out, as it always does. And he said, you girls are really sweet. You're fun. You're real. And so I said, listen, we're not three sisters. We're really not three sisters. I said, but, you know, and I told him the whole story. He says, well, you know, you come back anytime. Well, it was like, bing, 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 bing. That was it. So that was it. That was the start of it. And sometimes we would get in and sometimes we wouldn't. But my whole thing is I wanted him to know who I was and everything. And as time went on, David, and just recently I got to see her when he was seeing Anne Margaret during Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah.
At that point, now he knew my name, and we would watch on Sunday, we'd watch Ed Sullivan, and we'd see Toady Fields and Joan Rivers and Phyllis Diller. And he would look at me, he goes, you're funnier. You're just funnier. Because I would say things like, I would say to him, listen, my mother wants to know what's going on up here. And she's already told me it better be with you. And he would just laugh at everything. And I, you know, and I would say, I remember one of the lines I said to him, I said, you know, we called him E. Everybody called him E. And I said, you know, E, I said, my father says you're paying too many taxes. He read it in the paper.
Yeah.
He says, we need to make a record company called Roel Records. And I says, now, if you get pushy about this, we can call it El Ro Records, you know. And whatever I would say, and if he'd grab me sometimes, put his arms around me, I'd go, don't get me near the fireplace, I'm Jewish. And he would just, he was great. He was great. And just, David, I would walk out of his house and I would think to myself, Jesus, I was just with Elvis Presley. I mean, how exciting. And then I ended up meeting, who would end up being one of my best friends for till now, is Sandy Martindale. Sandy was dating him. Then Sandy ended up dating him. And Sandy, her father owned a club on Sunset called the Red Velvet. And it was a club, and Barry. And Elvis used to hang out there. And so they started dating, and Sandy and I have been friends ever since. And it's we had so much fun. And Sandy is such a sweetheart. She'll always say, when people say, how did you guys meet? And Sandy inevitably says, we met at Elvis Presley's, and Elvis was crazy about Roberta. And always says, how can you not be friends with that person that says something like that? So when he died and everything, and she was already married to Wink Martindale, the closest thing to Elvis, Memphis and everything. And that was, you know, Wink's first interview, big one, was with Elvis.
Wow.
So she's got great stories. But, and we said, we want to go to the funeral. And Wink said, are you nuts? You're never going to get in. Nothing's ever, you know, she knows all the guys.
Right.
Sandy knew everybody. I really didn't, you know, a few of them. But it's part of my life, and it's something. And then I was lucky enough to, when I played in Vegas, that after one of the shows, Colonel Parker was there, and Barry said to me, go out and sit with Colonel Parker. And here he had seen me perform, because I opened for Barry. Yeah. And I sat there with Colonel Parker, and Barry surprised me. I had no idea he was going to do this. Still chokes me up. Yeah. I had always asked him to sing the song that Elvis did, If I Can Dream. If I can dream of a better place where all my, you know, that great song that he sings in the white suit and everything like that. And they said, no, Clive didn't want him to do an Elvis song. But that night, when I sat with him, he came out and sang that song. And I have it on a cassette. I have it on a cassette.
Wow.
So that
story is amazing.
I'm a lucky woman. I'm a lucky woman.
The thing is, you have so many wonderful friends that you've known throughout the years that you've worked with, and yeah.
Hey, whoa. What's this?
Oh.
What is this? Oh my God, what's this?
Is this my AA Zoom meeting?
Wait a minute, have they had to sit through all my crap? And Karen, you got two. Oh my God.
Surprise, surprise.
I'm so glad I put the bra on.
Yeah, me too.